I'm so happy to see you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another Life Kids lesson here for Sunday school. I'm so happy to see you, whether it's Sunday morning or another time. I'm so glad that you're watching. And I'm so excited to talk to you today about our next fruit of the Spirit. But before we do that, I have a couple of announcements. So make sure mom or dad is nearby so that they can hear these important things that we have coming up. In the month of May, we're doing 2 really fun things for you guys. And I want to tell you about those things, okay? So get your listening ears ready. The first thing is we are almost done with our Fruit of the Spirit unit, and that means it's almost time to say our Bible memory verse. Our Bible memory verse is Galatians 5:22 through 23, and it lists off the fruit of the Spirit. So if you can memorize that Bible verse and have mommy or daddy or grandma or grandpa or your friend or babysitter take a video of you saying that Bible verse, and you can share it with me. You can do that on our Facebook page, or you can send it to me through email, whatever's easiest. Then I will send you a sweet prize in the mail. But you got to get that Bible verse said. You got to memorize it, hide God's word in your heart, and have a little video made so you can send it to me so I can see that you did it, okay? So that was the first thing, work on your Bible memory verse. The second thing that we have going on, I'm so excited about, coming up on Saturday, May 16th, we are going to have a virtual scavenger hunt to finish up our Fruit of the Spirit unit. And that is going to happen using the fun app called Zoom that maybe some of you have used with your school and with your teachers. And we are going to be all getting together at 10 o'clock on Saturday, May 16th, to do that fun scavenger hunt to review all the fruit of the Spirit that we've learned and to wrap up our unit. It's going to be super fun. So tell your moms and dads to look in their email so that they can get that Zoom link to join in. And if anybody has any questions, please just get in touch with me. All right, so those are our 2 announcements, Bible memory verse and Zoom scavenger hunt. Both of those things coming up for May 16th. So we have a couple weeks to get ready for those things. All right, so we're going to dive right into our next lesson on the fruit of the Spirit. And if you have a piece of paper nearby, you will use a piece of paper during this lesson. So if you need to go grab a piece of paper real quick, it can be any size piece of paper, it doesn't matter, big or small. It can even already have some writing on one side of it. It's no big deal. Okay, so if you need to go grab a piece of paper, do that real quick. And we are going to review our fruits of the Spirit. You can see I have all of my shapes over here on my whiteboard and on my tree behind me. And we're going to review what each one of these fruits of the Spirit is. Okay, so our first one was a red heart. Who remembers what the red heart stood for? If you said love, you are correct. How about the yellow smiley face? Who remembers the yellow smiley face? If you said joy, you got it. Then next was our green leaf. What was that one for? It's a little trickier. If you said peace, you're right. Then we had our timer. Our timer stood for patience. Good job, you guys. I know you're getting these at home. And then we did a pink heart. And we changed the color up so we wouldn't get confused with our red heart, which was love. Our pink heart stood for kindness. And then we had our yellow star. Who remembers what our yellow star was? If you remember, shout it out. It was goodness. You got it. Last week, I did a video lesson from home, and I had a blue circle. You might see some of the blue circles behind me here on the tree. And this blue circle stood for faithfulness because it just keeps going and going. There's no end. And that's kind of what faithfulness means. It just means you keep going and going and you don't give up. There's not an end. You just keep on going. This week, we have this little crinkled up piece of tissue paper. And I brought another sheet here so you guys could see this. I wonder what this could represent. Any ideas? It's definitely kind of fragile. You couldn't use this to hold much. It would probably rip or break. Any ideas? What could that be? If you said gentleness, you got it. Our fruit of the Spirit for this week is gentleness. And remember, our tree represents our friendship with God. Because we have a friendship with God, we are able to have the fruit of the Spirit in our lives. If we didn't have that friendship with God on our own, we're not always able to be loving or joyful or good or patient or faithful or gentle. But because we have a friendship with God, we can have those things. All right, so let's get down to our story so that I don't lose your guys' attention here too quickly. So gentleness is our fruit of the Spirit today. And we have a Bible story that goes along with it. And this is when you need your piece of paper. So hopefully you've grabbed your piece of paper. And I have my piece of paper right here. And I want you to go ahead and draw a little picture of yourself. Just a little stick picture like this. Here's mine, my stick picture. And you don't have to write anything on yours if you're not very good at spelling yet, that's okay. But I wrote on mine this word here, and it says sinner, okay? Because just like everybody else, Miss Catherine is a sinner. And sometimes, all the time, that's really tough. But it is true. And so I wrote it on my paper. But this picture of this lady is going to represent the lady that's in our story, okay? And so I want you to, after you draw your picture of yourself here, I want you to just use your finger, put your pencil or your marker, set it aside, and with your finger, I want you to pretend to write the very worst thing you've ever done on your paper. If you don't know how to spell, it doesn't matter because you're just pretending, okay? So I want you to think about the very worst thing you've ever done. Maybe something that you said that was really unkind or something that you did. Think about that thing. Boy, that makes me sad just thinking about the wrong things that we've done. And I want you to write it on your paper, okay, with your finger, not with your pencil. Just imagine, pretend that you've written it. Thank goodness nobody can see it because that would just be, that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? If everybody could see our mistakes. Oh my goodness. Now I want you to imagine that the pretend ink from your finger suddenly showed up and everybody can see what you did. Oh my goodness, how would you feel, friends? That would be so terrible to have everybody know the worst thing that you ever did. Well, this is what happened to our friend in our story today. She got caught in front of a whole crowd of people knowing the very worst thing that she'd ever done. She had been out on a date with somebody else's husband, and that is a big no-no. We don't have that kind of friendship with somebody else's husband, only with our own husband or wife. And so all the people gathered around her, and they were really upset with her for this sin that she had committed. And the religious leaders said this to Jesus: "The law of Moses commands that we kill with stones every woman who does this. What do you say we should do?" So these people wanted to take stones and throw them at this lady until she wasn't alive anymore. That was the punishment for the sin that she had committed. Now, thank goodness, probably the things that we wrote with our imaginary ink are not that bad, but this was the punishment that she deserved according to the law. And so the religious leaders said, "Jesus, what are we going to do with this woman and this horrible sin that she has committed?" But Jesus surprised everyone, and he treated this woman with gentleness, because gentleness is a fruit of the Spirit. And this is what Jesus did first. They were asking this to trick Jesus so that they could have some charge against him, but Jesus knelt down and started writing on the ground with his finger. That's a strange response. What do you think Jesus was writing? Maybe he was writing forgiveness. Maybe he was writing the other people's sins who were in the circle. Maybe he was writing love. Who knows? But Jesus was choosing gentleness. The Bible doesn't tell us what he wrote in the sand, but that's okay. But whatever Jesus was writing, it wasn't enough for the religious leaders. They continued to ask Jesus, this is in John chapter 8, they continued to ask Jesus their questions. So he stood up and said, "Is there anyone here who has never sinned? The person without sin can throw the first stone at this woman." Then Jesus knelt down and wrote on the ground again. Wow, you guys, what was he saying? Let's think about that. He said, the person who has no sin can throw the first stone at this woman. So what Jesus was saying there was that if anybody else in the room was perfect, they could go ahead and punish this woman the way she deserved. That was what Jesus was saying. What do you think happened, guys? Do you think anybody did it? Let's find out. Those who had heard Jesus began to leave one by one. The older men left first, and then the others. And Jesus was left there alone with the woman, and she was standing before him. Wow, that's amazing. So nobody threw any stones at her. And what that means, you guys, is that none of them were perfect. None of them were without sin. And Jesus made that point really clear. He said, you don't get to judge her if you're not perfect. And he was showing gentleness. Jesus shows us a great example of gentleness here. And you know what? That message really impacted her. And so then Jesus stood up, continuing in John 8, and said, "Woman, all of the people have gone. Has no one judged you guilty?" And she answered, "No one has judged me, sir." Then Jesus said, "So also I do not judge you. You may go now, but don't sin again." Wow. You guys, Jesus' answer is amazing because Jesus was without sin. So anybody in that group who could have thrown a stone at her, it was Jesus. But he didn't because of his gentleness, because of his love. And this is the way that Jesus wants us to treat others. People are the most precious thing on this earth, you guys. Jesus loves each person on this earth so much, and he wants us to treat people with gentleness and with kindness, which we've talked about in other weeks. So imagine that this paper you have, go ahead and crumple it up right now. Just crumple it up. Remember, it has your very worst sin on it that you've ever done. Crumple it up, but instead of having it thrown, you can just set it down. You can just drop it. Because Jesus gives you the same grace that he gives to the woman in our story. That he's not going to judge you for your sin. He offers you forgiveness and grace and love. And I know that really means a lot to me because when I make a mistake, I feel really bad about it. I don't know about you guys, but when I sin and when I mess up, it makes me feel so sad and so sometimes just feel really bad about myself. But this story teaches me that I don't need to feel that way. I don't need to live there. I do need to say I'm sorry, and I do need to make it right. Jesus told her, don't sin anymore. He told her not to do that again. But he offered her love and forgiveness and gentleness, and that's the same thing that he offers to you, friends. He offers you gentleness. He offers you grace. He offers you forgiveness. So I want you to thank him for that today. Thank him for his grace. Thank him for his gentleness. And I want you to stay tuned because in our next video coming up here in just a second, we're going to do a fun paper airplane activity with my helpers that's going to teach us a little bit more about gentleness. Hey everybody, here I am with my helpers, and we are going to do a fun paper airplane activity that you can do at home that will teach you a little bit more about gentleness. So tell mommy and daddy and grandma and grandpa that this diagram is in their email, and this shows you how to make the paper airplane. I'm also going to show you how to make it right now. So if you have some paper with you, you can make it along with my helpers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is fold our paper in half the long way. Miss Catherine is not too good at making paper airplanes, so I have to follow my diagram carefully.
Yes, and follow the kids.
Follow the directions, all right? So once you've folded it in half, open it back up like this.
And then fold it.
Take your corners and fold them to the middle. So then your paper should look like this. Your corners like this. And then we close it up like this. We'll fly it in just a second, baby.
Like this.
Fold it up like this. Yep, you got it?
Can I have a little help?
Yep, so you got your things folded down, and then we fold it like this.
Got it.
Yes, our friend Gus is here. All right.
Yes.
So now
on top of.
we
Fold the
fold
wings
back the sides.
Fold back the wings.
Yep, fold back the wings. And we do that on both sides.
Mine isn't directly right.
So fold back the wings like that. Then turn it over and do the other one. And then you open up your wings. And you have your gentle glider. Getting it, buddy?
Yep.
Open up your wings. Need some help, Sophie?
Yes.
Hold it back together like this. Then
Wow.
fold your sides
Gentle glider.
down. There we
Nice.
go. And then turn it over and fold this one down. Then open up your wings. Now, the activity you can do with this is to see which way makes it go the farthest. If you throw it super hard, or if you throw it super high, or if you throw it super gentle. So this is called the gentle glider, and that's a hint if you want to get your airplane to go really far. Remember, we're learning about gentleness is our fruit of the Spirit. So let's see what happens when we throw our airplane super gentle. Can you throw it gentle? Come on, Hannah. Come over here, baby. Hold it like this.
I guess.
There you go. Ready? Throwers. Whee! All right, good job. I hope you guys have a lot of fun at home making paper airplanes today and see how far you can get it to fly. Thanks for watching.
Mom.
My name is Keizo and I am 9 years old. Named after a samurai in my grandma's Japanese family.
And I'm Keizo's mom, and my name is Miki.
I like playing sports and hanging out with my family. I have a pet guinea pig and his name is Chewy. I have to clean the cage, feed him every day, and change his water every 2 days. I like guinea pigs because they are fluffy and they make poop noises.
Keizo and his family love to spend time together.
Our family likes to play games a lot, mostly board games, but we also like to play video games together.
I like playing video games with my dad and my brother. My favorite video games are Lego games and sports games, as I try to be my brother in them.
Keizo and his big brother like to borrow video games from their local library. Their parents have a rule that when the kids get a library card, they're responsible for the materials they check out. One day, Keizo and his mom went to the library to return some games and books. When they arrived, they were surprised to discover that Keizo had failed to return the games, and they were very overdue.
So we went to the library together, and Keizo had pulled some other video games that he wanted to check out. And when we put his card in the slot, we had to see a librarian. And so we went there. I expected that there would probably be a fine, and usually it's about $10. After you reach $10, they won't let you check out materials anymore.
And the librarian said that I had a $60 fine, and I was freaked out.
that was quite a fine. That meant the games were overdue for a long period of time. And so I was just scrambling, like, what are we gonna do with that? Initially, I asked the librarian at the desk, is there any mercy? Is there any way the fine could be reduced? And she had to call another librarian, I guess who was a more senior librarian. And so while we were waiting for that librarian to come, I looked at Queso and I said, you know, we're gonna have to figure something out because that is quite serious.
I was getting really scared and nervous when the librarian had to go talk to the other librarian about my fine.
And so when the librarian came, I had Queso actually explain the situation to the librarian and take responsibility for his mistake. And the librarian listened very patiently and was very kind and spoke directly to him and said, you know, you do understand that when you check out materials, it is your responsibility to turn them back in. But the librarian offered grace and said, we'd be happy to reduce your fine in half. So instead of $60, it's gonna be $30.
I had to pay the fine with my allowance.
Queso made a mistake when he failed to take the games back when they were due. But because the librarian showed gentleness in the way she handled the situation, Queso learned a valuable lesson. That's kind of like how God shows us gentleness when we do bad things. And God helps us show gentleness too.